Hello, everyone. Welcome back. BetSperts Golf, 105th PGA Championship, previewing with my friends. Coming off of an outright winner on Jason Day, it is Andy Modner. Andy, congratulations, bud.
Yeah, I don't want to yuck your yum, but it's been a rough year for outrights for me. So I've been just like, I shouldn't bet these as heavy. So as soon as you start lowering your outright stake, what happens? You hit an outright, which still feels good. Still turned a tournament to a positive for me. Turned a negative Sunday thanks to some bad luck in other spots to a positive Sunday, and then I tried to donk it all the way on some soccer Monday and got lucky with some late goals. So it's been a lucky couple days gambling. I feel like maybe we have something this week, and then we run into an absolute buzzsaw. Here's a course that hasn't been in rotation. And yes, we deal with this all the time. I mean, last year we had to deal with Potomac. We had Mexico for the first time. These things happen, but this is a lot different. Whereas like, hey, but we have seen this course 10 years ago, and it's just wildly different. I think that's a good spot to start, because I think the biggest takeaway is don't use data from 2013. We could probably clip that and say that about anything.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But don't use data from 2013 at this course. Like, it is obviously the routing is the same and the holes are pretty similar, but boy, it played quite a bit differently. They made some major changes to this 4 years ago, and it's going to play completely differently. I don't think Duffner takes it again, honestly.
Yeah. I don't like his chances. I've been looking into it. I don't like his chances to repeat. So, yeah, as you mentioned, we've been here before. It's basically hosted any sort of major championship team golf events, but the massive renovation that happened in 2019 makes this place look completely different. You're looking at, they estimate 600-700 trees have been removed from the property. They want to get it back to the design that it has. You've seen basically every green surface repurposed, just basically like changing the edges. You know what happens? You go and hacks like us go and play, try to hack the sand out. It just kind of builds up along, the side there, and the greens kind of lose their body over time. And all these things have been changed, and it's been stretched out a lot too. You're looking at basically 7,400 yards from the tips, a par 70. There's a creek that runs through the middle of this place that basically, if you don't have the ability to carry 310, 320, force layups on a lot of holes, and just kind of distance is going to matter. We're looking at the videos, which are very, very common on a Monday in a place that we don't see a lot, or in a major with, people trying to lose their ball. The rough is dense, and we are in the Northeast here. And, it's getting to summer, but, we're looking at Thursday morning. Like, Thursday morning is going to be like 35. You're going to have guys in beanies and sweaters and hoodies. This is not like you're hearing some
the mock turtlenecks will be making an appearance.
They will. Yeah. It's not a great day for, Sam Ryder wanting to show his ankles or anything like that. It's going to be cold a little bit. And, we don't have to take, science classes to know that the ball doesn't travel as far when it is cold. And I think we're going to have I don't know if we're going to have a wave advantage, because I think everyone's going to get a taste of that. You might have some afternoon, wind on a day. So we don't have that as we stand on a Tuesday morning recording. But yeah, I think you're going to have to be long and straight. What a concept. That seems to play pretty much anywhere. But I just think no matter what, you're going to want to be long. And I don't know if that's something that you've weighted heavily or more heavily than normal, Andy, because I do think it's just going to be a pretty massive advantage.
I did, and we've had this a couple times, and then I'll go over some of the stats that matter when we get to some of the golfers I've bet. But like, my first initial reaction with this is, here's a course we haven't seen in a decade that's changed a lot. We know some things about it. We're getting a million reports from the course. My Twitter feed is like, it's almost too much at this point. Like, I don't need to, like, knowing where the landing zone is on 6 isn't going to help me pick the winner. Like, I love what you're doing, guys. I love the amount of content you're putting out and how excited you are to be there for some practice rounds. But it's like, sometimes that noise just has to go away for right now, because it isn't, I don't think it is a course where there's a strict archetype that can win. It's not, it's not just a strict Bombers course, because there's a little bit of the minutia of how this needs to be played. And there's some subtleties to, how we should be looking at off the tee here. And I just went straight to it again. I said, like, I need form guys, and I'm probably just going to need guys who have done it on tough courses, because there's been this weird kind of lack of identity. And I think you've seen plenty of tweets about this, and people have complained about this for the longest time. Is like Augusta hey, we're at Augusta. This is the thing. We have our sandwiches. We're never moving. You get the cool links style courses on the coast of the British Isles when you go over to the Open. And then the US Open is ridiculously hard, where they just bring in some masochist to set the course up so people get like hurt feelings immediately. And the PGA has like lacked the identity. And they could have gone their own way. They could have gone a number of ways. They kind of leaned just into the US Open model, I guess. That's I think that's kind of what they're doing here. It looks like scoring is going to be low. And by low, I mean high, I guess. Your winner could be like 3-4 under if this truly plays this hard and the winds start kicking up. So I kind of just had to lean heavily onto who's playing well, which creates its own little, and I think we'll get to this later. I want to focus a little more in on these guys, later in the broadcast here. But the live guys, how do you treat the live numbers? It's almost like when we start getting to that February point, and we've had the people who played at Sony, we've had the people who played, some of the West Coast stuff, and then all of a sudden we go to Honda, and like 60 guys who haven't been, playing over here at all just suddenly show up on a chartered airplane from Europe. And it's like, oh man, I got to go look at DP data. I got to go look at how these guys have been playing over there. And it's the same kind of thing, except, the live golf is a little wonky, where the motivation is a little lower. The courses are shit. There's some pretty bad players in the field, and it's 54 holes. So it's been really hard to actually judge, like, who are the best golfers coming in playing this right now. And then I think secondarily, I went to trades. And, bombing, like you said, it's probably going to be important. I mean, what did we say? 7,400 pretty much at a par 70.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Even, there's going to be some forced layups, and you're not going to be able to bomb there. But there's a few spots where hitting at 325 is going to be awful useful as far as, managing this course. But then, I mean, I'll let you talk about the rough. We can't have squirrely bombers. We can't have guys who hit at 320 offline.
Yeah, and you're not going to get run out. So I think carry distance matters a little bit more too, because as you mentioned, like the rough is going to be dense, and this course might end up playing firm and fast. But again, we're in the Northeast historically, and especially earlier in the day, you're just not going to see that run out that you would see if this event was still being held in August, for instance, or even like Tulsa was really dry and the wind kicked up, so like you're able to really run it out there off the tee as well. So don't think you're going to see that quite as much. And these are really, really small greens, really outside of Pebble, which, they play historically, in rotation. You're looking at some really, really small landing surfaces, and you have some greens and green complexes that are elevated. And I think you do see some similarities to what we saw last year at Southern Hills with these shaved runoffs. You're going to have a hard time holding the green. That's another reason why I think distance is an advantage, because again, like being able to hit in a little bit of a higher apex to be able to hold these greens and be able to maybe two putt to save and take your par versus having to chip up into an elevated green to get up and down is going to be tricky as well. So I do think it's interesting to build kind of a golfer archetype betting card or DFS lineup that's kind of myopic when we don't see a course very often. And then if you're right, you're right. You know what I mean? Like if you ends up having that this type of player is what ends up doing well here, then you get more bites of the apple versus if you kind of just hedge a little bit and I'm going to build some bombers. I'm going to take some accuracy, maybe some shorter hitters that can be accurate. Like I think it's a little bit, I don't know. I like to build, at least for me, I want to go down with the golfer archetype, and I am leaning on distance massively this week. But I think form matters too, because we've seen historically really, really short form PGA Championship has been a predictor of success. I would like to have seen you be within the top 20 in one of your last couple events, or maybe even win, even in the small field events. I do think that those things do matter.
It's funny too. the absolute mind fuck that golf betting is. The funniest tweet that's like, holy shit, this is relatable, was our guy Kirshner, Brian. He has a Jason Day future like a big one, like 100-1 or something. And he's like, man, if Jason Day finishes like third last week, I'm so jacked about this future.
Right.
But the fact that he won, it's just like dead. In my mind, it's dead. Like golfers just can't win 2 weeks in a row for some reason in our minds. And it is funny because it's like, I kind of just, I mean, obviously the number's been beat down as well, so that sucks. But I once I had Jason Day bet last week, I'm like, well, I'm not going to bet him next week too. It's just not a thing. So it's such a goofy thing. But yeah, I'm kind of form, distance, carry, 1-1A, 2-2A, I guess, and then I need some accuracy off the tee as well because Jesus, this rough looks so nasty. And then also just like maybe some of the littler things we can get into when we talk about some guys' club speed, because there's guys who are able to generate distance without wild club speed. Club speed is going to matter too if the wind is heavy. You've seen that Matthew Fitzpatrick tweet where he was hitting a 3-wood into a par 3 because it was just a straight on headwind. There might be some nasty winds. There might be some low temps. Like it's not just going to be your driver. You're going to have to be able to generate club speed with all your clubs to kind of cut through some of these winds, especially when we're looking at some of the low temps. I mean, I don't have the lake effect with what northern New York does. Upstate New York, as they like to say, but I mean, I'm kind of in the same climate zone. So are you. Like, you understand. It's like, hey, we had a nice afternoon, and then you go outside this morning. It's like, oh shit, it's like 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Like, why am I wearing shorts? It sucks. So there's gonna be some chilly mornings for sure up in Rochester.
Yeah, it's gonna be definitely a challenge, and I think we can maybe glean a little bit, and you want to be subscribed to the site to get the in-tournament stuff, because once we can capture a little bit of data, Ron can do his magic and hopefully make some better in-tournament bets, some better live ads. So again, subscriptions, just $20 for the month. Subscribe now, you're going to get the next major as well, so you'll get all the good events between the PGA and the US Open, heading over to Memorial and go to Canada and lots of good stuff, and then you'll be able to get the US Open as well. So check that out, betspurtsgolf.com. Go to the plans page, and check in. You get a year if you want, but I think you get the month is the best way to get access to it, and then you can just kind of hang out with us for the rest of the year.
Yeah. No, the monthly price is super. I mean, it's $20. It's like $5 a tournament, if that. Like, essentially, you get 4.5 tournaments, and like I said, if you subscribe today, you get like the first 4 days of US Open week as well. So you can get all the pre-tournament stuff. Speaking of majors, it is another major. We had a fun contest. We gave away a couple of wins. A couple of guys are going to go golfing with Paige this summer, and we got another one. Obviously, it's not Augusta, but it's still a major, and we found another fun team to work with at Swag. But I'm not the kind of guy who spends a lot on clubs ever. Maybe I will be now that I'm starting to get a little better. But I was surprised to learn that these are like $500 to $1,000 putters. But yeah, Swag Co. We're giving away 3 Swag putters. Same kind of contest. Honestly, not same kind of contest. The exact same contest as the Masters. Run Your Pool, another partner of ours. It's 6 tiers. It takes a minute and a half. Just pick your 6 golfers, put them in your contest. It's free to enter. We're going to give away 3 of those putters. We'll ship it right to your house, and you'll have a new putter. And obviously, it's that time of year where you're going to need some new clubs anyway. So don't buy a putter. Just enter this, and then maybe you win. So any more details on that, Mr. Ryan?
Yeah, they're nice putters, man. It's the last club that I need to upgrade in my bag, and went down the Swag wormhole a little bit to look into these things, and they are very, very, very nice. And Paige talks a little bit about it at the top, but you can check out this video. We can look at basically how easy it is to join Run Your Pool. You can find the link here in the show notes of how to join, and then here's Paige with her thoughts on Swag and her picks for Run Your Pool. Hey everyone, Ryan Noonan here, BetSperts Golf, and we have once again partnered with our friends over at Run Your Pool for this week's 105th PGA Championship. Today, I am joined by the one and only Paige Spiranac. Paige, I think everyone's going to be excited about this. Why don't you tell everyone what's at stake here with Run Your Pool and Swag?
Yeah, so it is free to enter. You guys already know you pick 6 golfers, and then it's the lowest total score wins, and top 3 winners are going to get a Swag putter. You guys haven't heard of Swag. They are one of the coolest companies in golf right now. They make sick head covers and even better putters. So this is a really great prize. It only takes a minute to enter. So, I mean, why not, right?
Listen, I went on a golf trip recently, Paige. My game, I want to say, had everything, including swag, but no putting. So I am very much interested in competing here and winning because I have a very old putter that I re-gripped and makes me feel like it's a brand new putter. It's a terrible old putter. I need a new one. So I'm excited to check out. And I, since we've partnered here, I've gone digging a little bit, and these swag putters are pretty sweet, and people seem to absolutely love them. So that speaks volumes. Knowing the golf space, there's just a ton of different options out there. So pretty excited to check those out. And like Paige said, super easy. It's free. It's going to take you probably like tips to tails, 90 seconds to do this entire thing. Run your pool. You can find the link in our show notes. It might be floating around here. There's might be a button there, or you can go on to Paige's Twitter account. You can find us over at BetSports Golf as well. Easy link to join. Like she said, 6 golfers. They're all tiered up based off of the world golf rankings. You simply pick your 6, and there you go. You're off and running. PGA Championship Page. Again, this course, we haven't seen Oak Hill since like 2013. And from all reports, it looks nothing like back when Jason Duffner won a while ago. All the trees have been removed, rebunkering, the greens have been changed up. There's a lot of different angles, visibility, lines that have changed. It looks like, from all accounts, it's beautiful. No one's played there in quite a while. They've been basically keeping all the members off too. But distance is going to be a major factor too. What are some of the early takeaways that you've had from what's going on over at Oak Hill?
Yeah, so I played Oak Hill a couple years ago, and it is an absolute beast of a golf course. I remember this was just normal play, and if you missed the fairway just this far off, it took us 10 minutes to find the golf ball, if you even found it. The rough is thick with as many C's as you can add. I mean, it is absolutely brutal. It plays long. It is a difficult golf course, but it's a fair golf course too. And that's what I really like. It's a very interesting layout. It's a beautiful layout, a beautiful course, but yeah, it's going to eat some of these guys alive. You're looking at the long players, great ball strikers this week.
Yeah, they're talking about just there's going to be some forced layups because of creeks and different things like that. You might just have no choice but to maybe take your medicine sometimes. And even if you're, say, 175, 200 yards out, it might be a wedge to get yourself back onto the short stuff because of how thick it is. So it'd be lovely to play with spotters as well. I always feel like that would make life a little bit easier, but not in this existence for this guy here for sure. But yeah, let's go into your picks here a little bit. And I think when you have kind of a course that we don't see in the normal rotation, we have some reports based off of what's going on the course, your experience on the course as well. Sometimes I think it's good to kind of stay with a golfer archetype when you're looking to build here, because if you're right, well, you, in this instance, you're going to have 6 options to be correct with the right type of build. And it looks like based off of your picks here, we're leaning on distance being a massive factor. Now, the first tier is always really difficult to pick, right? Because it's loaded with all the guys that we think are really viable to win this golf tournament. But you can be started with your first pick here.
Yeah, so I went with no surprises here, Jon Rahm. And, I think everyone kind of goes back and forth between Scotty Scheffler or Jon Rahm. And Jon just has the complete game. Obviously, both of them are really great ball strikers. But what sets Jon apart from Scotty is putting. And we saw that at the Masters. Jon Rahm is so mentally tough, and that's why he plays so well in majors. And again, throwing it back to Augusta, when we were looking at horrible weather conditions, Jon Rahm played some amazing golf. And we know that you're gonna have to grind it out. And he's a favorite. I mean, he's always going to be a favorite. World number 1. You got to go with Jon Rahm.
He won the Masters by 4 shots and like 3 putted the first hole to start himself off with a double. Like he right now just feels like, to your point, far and away the best guy in the field. And I feel like you kind of have to take one of Rahm or Scotty there at the top. Now, again, there's some game theory to building out these tiers too, Paige. Like, avoiding those guys makes some sense. You're obviously instantly unique in terms of winning a competition that's going to have, thousands of people in it. So I understand why someone would want to go off the board, but you make the case for Rahm. It makes a ton of sense. Your next selection, I'm very interested in this week as well. There's a lot of narrative about, hey, we just haven't seen this guy perform super well in majors. I argue that he's played his best at major type events. Who's number 2 for you?
Max Homa, he has the complete game to win on very difficult golf courses. We have seen that with his previous wins as well. Riviera, a really great example of that. he is a fan favorite, and he's also a favorite going into the U.S. Open at LACC, but that's a lot of pressure for someone. And he could be, I don't even want to say a sneaky underdog because everyone's liking Max this week, but because he hasn't had a lot of success in majors, I think it's a bit surprising for everyone. I'm surprised by it because he has such a solid game to win at major championships. So we're seeing him gain confidence, and he looks like a really great pick this week.
Yeah, we've seen the recent form, a predictor of success at PGA championships. And Max, obviously, top 10 last time out at Quail Hollow, a place he's won a couple times. And again, that's a big boy golf contest or golf course. So if you can do it there, I can't imagine you can't do it everywhere too. And those are great fields too. Those are major-esque fields. We're seeing a lot of young guys nowadays. Distance still matters, but there's an older guy still hanging around that can still bomb it out there and has actually been playing pretty well of late as well. Who's your next guy?
Adam Scott, and he is another really big favorite. I was doing some research looking around, and everyone's liking Adam Scott, and for good reason. He is trending. He's had some really great finishes, and despite him getting a bit older, he is hitting it longer than ever. And like we talked about, length on this golf course is so incredibly important. Another amazing ball strikers. You can see a trend. John Rahm, Max Homa, Adam Scott, they all hit it long, and they all hit it really well.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that will continue here. This next guy is basically for the last couple of years has just been bombing putts. The approach game was kind of struggling. You get to a spot where maybe spraying it off the tee didn't matter, but the putter could get white hot, and Wyndham Clark would make some noise. All of a sudden, Wyndham Clark is dialed in on approach, and we saw that obviously last time out when he won Wells Fargo at Quail Hollow. I love this next pick for you.
Yeah, Wyndham Clark, I actually grew up playing golf with him in Colorado. He's always been a superstar, and I think everyone was just waiting for him to break through because his game is so solid, and he's a long hitter, and he just needed that confidence. And so I think getting that first win, getting the monkey off his back, he's now able to see that he can compete with the best guys around, and I think he's going to be carrying a lot of confidence going into the PGA Championship.
Love it. That's really cool. All right, next, we can use our customizable stat database over at BetSperts Golf and search by region of the country. I mean, if you break down guys that have played really well in the Northeast, surprisingly, even though we think of this next guy as a South Carolina, Sea Islands, Harbor Town type of guy, has played really well in his career in the Northeast, is finally getting healthy.
Yeah, Harris English. I really leaned on BetSperts here to use the data to come up with this pick. Again, he might not be someone that you think of right away, but when you look at the data through BetSperts, you're like, why isn't everyone picking Harris English? Because it just makes so much sense.
Yeah, played really well last time out. It's good to see him finally healthy and playing towards that top level again. Your last pick's off the board. Now, when you get into the sixth tier, it's deep, right? It's basically the best of the rest, and it's a very, very deep tier. It's a great place to get unique. I think you did that here, but you're definitely staying on brand in terms of distance off the tee.
Yeah, with Nikolai, he is a young, really great player, and his game is trending. He's made 13 straight cuts in a row. He's had some really good top 10 finishes, and again, that long ball hitter. We're just going to see that all week with these guys. You're basically out of it if you can't have that carry distance and you aren't having shorter clubs into these very difficult greens. And especially when you're dealing with the rough, having a wedge or a 9-iron compared to a 7-iron is going to be a very big advantage. So I'm feeling quite confident about my lineup.
Boom, Paige, her lineup. I haven't done mine yet. Guys, you know me. I'm like a Wednesday night kind of guy. That's like my Wednesday night strategy. Because betting is one thing. I do need to get earlier and earlier on my outrights, but prices don't change on DFS. In fact, later is better for DFS. You have more complete information about ownership, and obviously nothing changes in Rainmaker. So 9:30, 10 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday nights, that's kind of my Rainmaker time. That's when it's I have 150 Rainmaker cards. I need to, and 90 of them are playing this week. I got rid of a Mike Weir I got rid of 2 Mike Weir cards. Gave one to Cal as a championship winner for taking down the match play brackets, and the other one I tried to sell. You can't gift a card. This is a quick Rainmaker tangent.
Yeah.
You cannot gift a card which I thought we could do. So he's like, well, just list it for a very small amount and I'll just buy it and we'll call it square. Because I told him I'd give him my queer card. I did it. It got bought before. I told him, I'm going to list it right now. It got bought before he could do it, the first one. It's like somebody has bots set up for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Like if there's this card is listed for this level, just buy it or something. I there's no other explanation. Who else is like, oh, I'm looking at Mike Weir prices and I'm refreshing. Guy's not going to play till next April.
100% a bot. I mean, back in the early,
Top Shot days, baby.
early Top Shot days, I had, bot notifications opened for anything, and ping sound for this deal. So it's definitely bots. I had enough Rainmakers. I didn't even realize, Andy. I had about a dozen or so. So I built. I'm in the Rainmaker mix this week. I haven't bought any, but I've just the free cards and some of the smaller contests.
I do love the free cards.
Dipping my toes in the
free
water.
cards are best cards. So, all right, and we'll get to more course stuff as we go through. But I've made some outright bets. I'm not pumped about my outright card.
Okay.
This is a major. There's going to be a lot of props. I'm going to have a props card this week. I didn't post a lot of it for Augusta because it's like, man, do you guys really want props? Because some of this stuff might be not. I do research. It's not me just fucking around. But then it's like, God damn it. I really wish, because we have a public tracker and this would have gone in it, I really wish I would have posted my Rory to miss the cut ticket. It was like 9-1 to not make it. And that would have paid for basically anything else I did for props. But I will have some props this week. I love the offerings you get for this. Total score, over under. There's usually Eagles markets and things like that to play with. So I'll get into that. But outright card is probably finalized. There's a small chance I could be talked into Scotty.
Okay.
But like what we saw last week a little bit did scare me. It's just like what Paige said. It's like, hey, here's a complete game, except kind of misses some 6-footers sometimes. Can't have that here. Like, because a lot of those 6-footers are going to be for par. Can't have you moving down the leaderboard. We need, complete rounds. And like, as much as it is to like dog on Scotty Scheffler, I mean, if he was like 15-1, maybe I'd forgive it. But at 8-1, I just can't have any cracks in the game at this point. So like, I'm avoiding Rahm and Scheffler at this point.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess let's start there, because it has been a little bit in the market indicates that they agree. The big three is somewhat shifted into a big two with Rahm and Scotty. So I'll start. I fired on Rahm. I fired on Rahm on the weekends when I got a FanDuel boost, but I was going to be in on Rahm anyway. So I took advantage of the boost to get the Rahm number down a little bit. There are still 8-1s on Jon Rahm. Again, he just is so good. He's been so good all year. Goes and doubles the first hole at Augusta and still wins by 4 strokes.
Yeah.
When you're really breaking ties with these two, they both have all of it. They're incredible tee to green. Scotty's still an above average putter, but Rahm is nails right now on the green. So that's kind of the breaker for me. First in the field in strokes gained approach, first in proximity from over 200 yards, which even if you can hit it a mile, you're going to be left with a bunch of 200 plus yard approaches this week. First in total driving last season, total driving, a combination stat of both distance and accuracy. He's 6th this year. Scotty also right there in the top 5. So it's not something that he has over Scotty per se. But again, just miles ahead of Scotty when you look at the past 50 rounds in terms of strokes gained, a short game, which is a combination of around the green and putting. I love Rahm's game right now. And I think that you can definitely build a card and not have one of the two. But man, I feel like I want to get one of them, and the bonus money from FanDuel was enough to push me into basically like 1150, which is a great number for Rahm. So 8 still on the board. I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, getting double digits on either of those would feel pretty good. Like that's kind of the ticket there. So yeah, I stayed away from the top. I was a little nervous. And I know, again, this is another PSA to get into the Discord early, because if nothing else, and this is a fucked up thing to say because Ron does a ton of other stuff. He puts out one of the best preview articles in the entire industry every week. But if nothing else, Ron puts out really good early numbers. Like he is the guy hitting refresh. and like waiting for books to open on Sunday night, Monday morning. And he got Xander Schauffele. I'm not sure when he bet this one, but I mean, it goes to the same point as far as getting in the Discord, betting some of these early. I'll have to look if this was maybe some grabs. I know both of you guys grabbed some PGA outrights during the week. It looks like this was 5-8. So what is 5-8? That was
last Monday.
Last Monday, he bet Xander Schauffele at 29. This guy is down to 13 at some places. I was able to find a 20 at a book that I was surprised actually took as much as I wanted to bet on Xander Schauffele.
Okay.
I figured I'd hit it and then say, no, you can bet like $4 on this, or because it's been kind of wonky about betting, actual like sides or anything. But Xander Schauffele at 18 or better, I think it's still bettable. Obviously, the market, especially Chris, was down to like 1375. I'll have to double check where that. I know that the market's moved a ton, and they will move a lot over the course of the week because it's a really big liquidity pool for something like this. But again, like I said, my first thing was form, fourth in the rolling form. He has everything but a win this year. He did it last summer. He got a couple wins. He actually looked pretty good in both of them. I know it's a weird, wonky event. I'm not going to compare links golf to upstate New York, but win's a win. He's won in some weird. God, he has won in weird places now. Was it Scotland? Did he win the Scottish Open?
Yeah, but he won the Travelers last year too. So
yeah, the
Northeast.
Travelers. I buried the lead. The Travelers is actually a halfway decent comp, but it's like, hey, he's won in Japan and Scotland, and he's just like a rich man's Hovland, or what are we doing here? But his form has been great. He played amazing golf at Quail Hollow. He put up a score that wins most years. Sorry, Wyndham Clark's son ran, and you probably should have won this tournament, honestly. But the form has been too good. No real flaws in the game right now, as far as it's not like, hey, he's third and second and first. He doesn't have the Rahm Scotty numbers in some of the main SG categories, but they're all good, and he's gaining so much on the field. I mean, this is just saying form. I'm just saying form in a different way, but to quantify it, he's gaining over 8 strokes on the field over the past 5 tournaments. If you look at his last 10, it's similarly comparable. Like, he's gaining so much in the field consistently on average. Xander at 18, I love this one. I hate betting on this guy so much, though.
I know, and he's always theoretically in the mix, though. When you actually watch the event, oftentimes he's not necessarily. But they're these backdoor top 10s are definitely part of his MO. But yeah, he's been playing really good golf. It's a guy that I don't mind betting. Our friend Jeff Feinberg has no problem going to the well on Xander. Still 19 out there on PointsBet. If you can get anything down on PointsBet, while it's still PointsBet, yes, so you can get down there. That's the best number I'm seeing in the market currently. Yeah, as you mentioned, 13 and change, and Chris. 14 on Rivers, so 19 definitely standing out still, and 29. I think 29s were hanging out for a while, 24 for a while, but it's moved, and I get it. There's not a lot of holes in his game whatsoever, and long irons have been really part of his success all season, and that's going to come into play big time here. His buddy Patrick Cantlay also very popular. That number is dipped quite a bit as well.
Beat up.
20 on FanDuel looks like the best number still, and there's mostly 16s across the board for Cantlay. He's very popular. Another one that Ron got on early was Finau, as he was kind of going nuclear in Mexico. Ron jumped in on her early Finau number, which has also been pounded to hell. It looks like 25 again. PointsBet, 24 on FanDuel, 25 and change on Chris. Still out there on Tony. We skipped Rory. Rory was part of the big three. We haven't seen.
How's he here?
He's here. He wants to just talk about golf, Andy. So he's focused. He's ready to go.
Maybe that helped. And there have been he worked with Tiger a little bit during his mini hiatus. I think Tiger called him and said he saw something. That's the report in his swing and helped him out a little. Rory he has everything to win this and be good enough, but just there's something either going, mechanics, mental fatigue. I don't know. He's just not playing good enough golf right now to win this. So if the break was enough and it gets him back, he probably is in the mix. But I can't back a guy who showed up and did some of the things he's done over his. If you use the sites like our site, and it has the green and the red, and red is bad and green, it's like, 100 rounds total form, 50 rounds, 24 rounds, green, dark green, bright red, last 12.
Yeah.
It's like just fell off a cliff for some reason. And relatively, like, obviously he's not playing like Charlie Hoffman bad, but he's not playing the level of golf that you expect from Rory McIlroy, and I can't even think about backing him here.
Yeah.
He's somebody that, maybe the market is wrong. He should be 8-1 with the other guys, and you get a discount on like a day 2 round matchup because it's like, oh, he looks like he's feeling better. He's golfing well. Everything's good. The confidence is there. He's still being priced as, a third fiddle, and might have some bets on him live during the tournament.
These trends aren't for everyone. Some people really, really hate the trends, but we have seen a pretty sizable trend here at the PGA Championship where real recent short-term form has been somewhat of a predictor of success here. I would love to see you have a top 20 in one of your last couple of starts, and it kind of speaks to Rory being a little bit off the board in terms of where I'm looking this week. And again, Rory's an outlier in terms of just his overall skill set. So would I be surprised if Rory just has it this week and turns it on in a place where distance and carry is a massive advantage? No, it's really his game. We just haven't seen it in really a couple months, a few starts, definitely in relation to some of the other guys that we're talking about. Even the Cantley and Xander tier, his recent form is definitely a little bit below those guys. So, where are you jumping in? Because again, you're in Xander, kind of hovering. Because typically, I would think if you're not going up to Scotty or to Rahm, you're probably hanging out in this say sub 30 range.
Yeah, I thought so, but just Morikawa's price, seeing his price get lower was a little jarring because it's just his short game, all around short game. Like you mentioned, short game is around the green plus putting. Both of those are rough right now. I don't think he's backable at under 30. I know Dustin Johnson played some really good golf, but under 30 is a little bit much for, he played some really good golf against like 5 good golfers and a bunch of other guys. It's tough to, judge that. And I think it's fair to say this course setup is going to be tough, bordering on heavily difficult. And that's not the kind of course they've been playing at all on LIV right now. I'm a LIV guy. I don't mind it. I think it's good for the sport to have more tours like this. I'm okay with it. Obviously, there are some things about it that are a little rough, but for most part, I'm pro LIV. But I will be willing to admit the courses are not tough at all. So it's hard to judge that. I can't get in with that. Cam Young has been beat down to like 30, 35. JT, I was close on. Hovland, I don't think I could do it a tough course despite the form, and I love him. Fitzpatrick probably is someone who I looked at, but the injury worries. If he's healthy, he's another one where I kind of got him in the pocket, looking at him, seeing how he plays on Thursday, because it's a good setup for him. It is a really good setup, and when he's healthy, that number should probably be like 25 instead of 33, 35. But I did gravitate towards one. I found a 33. I was happy, and then I ended up finding a 35 rather, and I was even happier. And the happiest guy in golf, Mr. Sungjae. This is another one where it's like, if I'm truly going to stick to my word and say form matters more than everything, form rules everything around me, it's like, Jesus, this guy is playing so good. And he's just like, he's elite in a bunch of different spots. And yeah, missed one cut in 23. I think it was in January. Bunch of top 10s, bunch of top 20s, played good at Sawgrass, played good at Augusta. Great ball striking. And then we talk about hey, distance is great, but you can't get in trouble. His fairway finding is super high level. Fairways percentage, fairways in regulation, all of that is high enough where it's like, man, this guy has the form. He has several of the traits I'm excited about here. And then just, short game, this is more of a long-term, going back to like 2021. It wasn't his strength. Overall, it's kind of been, if you go over the last like couple years, it's been on a nice upward trend. Like he's kind of the total package now. He's one of these guys that should be listed in the elite golfers. He just needs to get a few more wins under his belt, I think, to get that perception around him. And 35-1, I think this should be a 25.
That's the problem, right? Is that he he won last week in Korea, which is also its own thing, right? He went to Korea last week. That's
want to talk about. I didn't even throw that in form. Like that was he was like 3-1.
Yeah, no,
but he still went out and did it. He still went and played good golf.
Yeah, you got to win. But really, besides that, he hasn't won in like, I don't know, 20 months. His recent finishes are just insane. It's just littered with top 5s and top 20s. Like he just is always in contention. Any course, he plays a ton. He plays, big events. He'll play the small events. He'll play Korea. So it's a good thing he won in Korea, to your point. Are you concerned at all the fact that he was in Korea? Now, again, I know these guys are flying PJs and they're not flying coach to Korea. But, it's not like he's coming from, say,
it is a long ways.
Texas.
It is a long ways from Southeast Asia.
Correct.
All the way to the northeast of you. Like it's basically all the way around the globe. But that said, like we've seen this in the NFL too. Like teams are better at travel. People are better at travel now. People are better at finding ways to mitigate jet lag and just overall fatigue from traveling. I think he's fine. Guarantee, like with a major, you're not going cheap and like, hey, I'm on Sun Country, connecting through Perth and bouncing around to like South America. Like he's taking a chartered plane with a bed, like one of those where I can lay down and sleep on it for sure. Yeah. I don't know, these aren't facts, but I'm just assuming, like, God, it's a major. Don't go cheap and feel like shit or have a pain in your neck because you're flying business class Delta. Like even that's not good enough for my poor boy Sungjae here.
Yeah, I flew from Chicago to Tokyo. That was 13 hours. Tokyo to Bali is another 7. So he's kind of in that range. So we're looking at like he's going further east than coming back to Chicago. So he's in the air for at least 20 hours or so.
That's like Seoul to LA to. I don't know if you can go LA to Rochester. It might be LA to like Buffalo connector.
Drive. Yeah. And fly. Yeah, it's a lot, but yeah, again, just all that aside, the fit and I can't argue with the form. He makes a ton of sense here, and I get it. I do like him, and a couple other guys that you mentioned that I did not take the dive on, but I was dancing around. Was JT again? The JT number continued to float out. I like that he played pretty well last time out. I think maybe we're seeing some of the spike putting stuff. We know the distance can matter. Maybe he just built. He's a PGA guy, and he just built for these. And Matthew Fitzpatrick, as you mentioned too, like I love him here. That number, if it drifts, I will look to maybe add. I'll definitely find ways to get both of those guys on my betting card. But you kind of change the way you would attack it when you go ROM at the top. It just the way funds are allocated, it becomes a little bit of a different beast. I hung out in this area. A couple of different guys here. First on the weekends, I saw he started to cook a little bit on Saturday at Live Tulsa. He did not play basically at all in the offseason, which is, again, for DJ, I wasn't surprised that DJ wasn't playing golf in the offseason. Again, that was kind of the perk of Live, is that ability to just kind of not play if you don't want to, and that makes a ton of sense. He's been playing more golf as of late, and to see him finally kind of close and get into the mix a little bit and then really seal the deal against, again, a limited field 54-round tournament. At least he was competing on Sunday and even in the playoff against some of the other guys that we would mostly expect to be there. So I like that the short-term form is trending. It was 36 when I bet it. It's another spot where I took advantage of a FanDuel number. So my number is 54 on DJ. So I feel really good about that. But still at 30, I don't mind it. When you look at, you can use our site to do this. Go to our customizable stat database. Just in the top, you can change region and look at Northeast. If you look at strokes gained total in the Northeast over the past 4 years, DJ leads the field. He has played some tremendous golf up in this part of the country. Has won some majors up here, been in the mix. Previous history, it doesn't matter to me at all what happened last time we were here, though. He's navigated this course with, a T8 last time in 2013. I like DJ quite a bit. I can also think he was motivated a little bit by Brooks showing up and competing at the Masters, where DJ just couldn't make a putt all week. Really, tee to green was pretty good. Could not make a putt. So I think that he's a little bit playing better, playing more, and wants to kind of remind everyone that he's still one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, people dog on DJ a little, and his personality and how he treats like his career, but I think it's how he is for lack of a better term, is probably a benefit, and why he plays well on tough courses. He is kind of unbothered. You see some of these guys who just like Hatton is a good case. Like, he hates Augusta, struggles with it, and then he just gets in his head and it gets worse. That's where I worry, and I haven't seen a lot of Hatton tickets here, despite how well he's played lately. I don't love Hatton at a tough course. Whereas DJ, one bad shot isn't going to ruin his day. He just goes back out there and suddenly hits an amazing chip. Like, I'd love him. I'm very curious to see how the live guys play.
Yeah, I have
because I think like Cam, Jocko, DJ, Brooksy, like there's a lot of good opportunities for these guys to play well over the course of which ones they get into this summer.
Yep. I got a couple more live guys on the card. One more in this range. This will shock no one who's ever watched the show before. The number just kept floating, and I almost fired earlier and got in early, and I'm glad I waited. We didn't see a massive reshuffle for Augusta, but we did a little bit here, and 45-1 on Max Homa is just a bad number, in my opinion. And I know that we can talk about Max has not done it in a major yet. He's just a better golfer than he was a couple years ago when he was in all those majors. And look at where he's won. Quail Hollow again, last time out, T8 at Quail Hollow. So we have the recent form. Won at Riv, Torrey Pines. You mentioned TPC Potomac, because of course we don't see a lot, but that's a tough golf course. Those are really good fields often too. So this narrative of Max in majors is, I think, somewhat lazy to me, just because of who he's become as a golfer. One of the best scramblers in the field. He's 12th in strokes gained approach, 7th in strokes gained short game over the past 24 rounds. Is not a bomber, but is a much improved off the tee guy. And that's part of where he's been, making those improvements as we kind of move forward. And look, as you mentioned, some of these guys that are, right below him, and no offense to Sanjay. I like the Sanjay number. I like the Sanjay play. Hovland, Cam Young, Hatton. These guys are all shorter than Max Homa. Max Homa wins golf tournaments. Like, Vic's only won on the swing season at the off-field events in Mexico and stuff. Cam Young, I bet him all the time. He's never won. Like, why is Cam almost half the price of Max Homa? We mentioned Sanjay. I love Sanjay. He's always in the mix. At least he's always in the mix, and he has a great skill set for this place. We needed the Korea win last week. Max wins golf tournaments. He's in the mix. 45 is just too long of a number, and that's over at Caesars, and Caesars will let you get down some money.
That is one of the weirdest things, is like just looking at Max's number compared to Victor is a little off-putting. Or excuse me, Cam Young, because it's like, hey, Cam Young has like one really good trait for this course, which is great, but also it's like, man, you gonna just trust him in a major all of a sudden? Like, that's what we're doing. We're gonna just jump him ahead of Max. It's not like Cam Young has a bunch of major wins.
To be fair, he's only been around for a little bit.
Yeah, I know. It's we don't have the sample, but like that's what I'm saying about the price. Like, we're just elevating this guy past Max Homa like that.
Yep. And Cam was in the mix.
What, 5 wins on tour now?
6. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So like Cam Young was in the mix at the Open. He was in the mix last year at Southern Hills. So like he has not closed the deal, and he's been in the mix. But yeah, I don't understand.
What's I'm gonna bet this. I'm adding one. I'm adding one mid-show. Because there's still 45s available.
Were you getting your on Max?
Chris.
Yeah, 45 and change on, yeah. So it looks like 40 is the best on the domestics now. So they've all moved a little bit.
All right, I bet them.
Yeah, 45 that's a great number.
All right, we're taking it.
Scramble is going to matter. He's tremendous on and around the greens.
Yeah.
That short game stuff matters, and he definitely has that in spades. And over a long sample of stuff too. Right? We know short game can be a little bit noisy. Like, you could dial way back out into 7,500 rounds, and the short game stuff on Max is really good, and it's going to matter here with these small greens and the shaved runoffs. So, like him quite a bit. A lot of good golfers. You mentioned some live guys are in this next mix in terms of basically, 40 to 100, pretty big tier. Did you take any bites at the apple here?
No, I honestly, my outright card is short, and you're going to have to say a lot of names before you get to my next one.
Okay. I took a shot at a guy. I wish I would have got the early number when Ron did. He got in, I think, at 120. Did not have, again, this is another live guy for me. Recent form has been really good. There's a guy that we thought just historically would be a guy that maybe could contend at some PGA championships based off of how he plays. Taylor Gooch at 80. I think they were even 90s. Let me see where we're at now, because I know that the 80s disappeared, and then when there was a reshuffle, there's some big numbers. FanDuel's a 90.
Yeah, I can get 89.64 at Chris. Like he was one too where it's like, man, I just don't know like how to translate some of this stuff. But
for sure,
like you still like playing decent golf on Live is not impressive. Winning a couple events in a row, like beating everybody else. And I guess, hey, the course sucks. It's still golf. Like you played better than anyone else. Like that still should mean something. And being 80, 90 to 1 is a ton. Like I love him in positional stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's still a big number, and he does fit right on top of the Live wins. Think about what he does well. He's really good from an approach game standpoint, and he's really good from long out, 200 plus. He's sixth in the field in strokes gained approach from the fairway over the last 2 years. So a pretty big sample of him being really good in something that's going to matter here. So again, you can shop that one around. There's some short numbers out there. I don't think I'm chasing him maybe at 60, but I do think, as you mentioned, it's hard to quantify the Live stuff, but he won. And he's playing on the same course as some guys that we, back in DJ at a shorter number for sure. Brooks is very popular and rightfully so. Cam Young makes a lot of sense too. So Gooch at 80 was the next one for me. And my last one's a bomb. So maybe you probably have one even shorter. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. Mine are 150 and 200, my last two.
Okay. So we're booking. I got a 190.
Yeah.
So
all right. We'll go. And again, this very small bet. This is a top 20 bet, but at the same time, it's like, man, I can't not bet this at 150. This guy's like
for
70
sure.
At some places. Honestly, I think this price is still available. And this was, we finally got our Jason Day win. But earlier in the year, what were we saying? We do this every year where there's a couple guys that have made some changes or bounced back, and mentioned in the same breath. We was like, oh man, Jason Day, Justin Rose, like these guys are playing good golf.
Yep.
And Ron, I had this already. I didn't have him number one. Ron must have run a slightly different sample, which is the beauty of modeling. Like you pick your samples, you pick your stuff, but I had him in the top 5. Ron ran his and tweeted it out. His bent grass splits, like just elite. You put him on pure bent grass, he has been elite over a fair size sample. He's a very good putter. We're not going to lose strokes in the green here. And he won. He's like, this is the thing too. Like Jason Day won, but Justin Rose has won an event. Yeah. Like I don't know why we're having. Obviously, Jason Day's form has been just electric. He's playing really good golf, and I think we had the vertigo thing probably cost him the match play win. Fuck, he was trucking through match. Like he was very good that week, which is annoying at him outright. But yeah, this is a guy who's just played so good in 2023. He's back in the winner's circle, and again, you look at form, great. Bent grass putting, great. All of his SG stuff is high enough where he should probably be like 60. I have no idea why this price is this big. And he's just playing well. He played well at the tougher events. He played well at the Masters, the Players. He played well, honestly, last year at Tulsa, which is not a good comp, but it was a tougher setup, a tough course. We saw some weather that caused some issues there too. So I like the top 20 plus 365 bet a lot, but I wasn't afraid to sprinkle a tiny bit on 150 to 1 on J Rose. Like, hey, give me guys who've won this year.
You kind of have to, right? Like if you kind of land on a guy and you do the work and he pops for you, it's like the T20 is nice, as you mentioned. Like you get to a spot where you start cheering for that guy to lose, so you don't feel bad that you didn't actually take the sprinkle. And yeah, at that size, at that number, you can make a pizza bet essentially on Rose and at least have the ticket. But yeah, he won at Pebble, really small greens, which I think is something that is going to be linked up with us this week as well. Another Live guy for me to finish my last bet on the card. Look, this guy has been playing really good on Live. Has not won, but I like to see since he joined, he's basically been in the mix every week. And again, like it's hard, as you mentioned at the top, it's really hard to kind of quantify that and mix it in comparatively to the PGA guys. But he can hit it really far. His long irons are tremendous. He's actually the best in the field over the last 2 years in strokes gained approach, 200 plus. We remember what happened on the 72nd hole with Mito Pereira, last PGA Championship. It was painful to watch back on the Netflix series when he realized that he just cost himself a major championship. But Mito at 190 is just too long. There's hundreds out there. This is a guy that just was kind of ascending. He was a popular bomb last year at Southern Hills. And again, I don't think it's a great comp course, but there are a lot of similarities. I think you're going to need to hit it far. I think the shaved runoffs and the way you're going to have to handle the around the green stuff matters a little bit. And again, long and straight off the tee is going to play, and that is kind of Mito's game. So I like to see the top sixes on Live, 3 top sixes in his 6 Live golf starts. So Mito at 190 was my final sprinkle. Again, I'll do finishing position bets and stuff for him too, but he was the last outright bet for me.
Yeah, that's a big ass number for a guy who is, I mean, he's come closer to winning a major in the last 5 years than Rory.
It's true.
I will not ever pass up an opportunity to shit on this guy. I'm sorry, Rory. I love you. You're fine. But yeah, it's crazy like how well he played, and basically like that was his tournament. Obviously, there's some nerves involved. I can't say like, oh, I would have played that different. You should see me golf. I'm fucking horrible. Not too far past years, but and this is another one too, where if you shop around, you should find 175 at the worst. And this one I really hate myself for betting outright. But again, I'm looking for some spike putting. I'm looking for guys who've had good form. Oof. And I don't think I've bet this guy to win outright. Maybe at like a, Sanderson style, like, not an full alt field, but like, oh, this is like a bye week for everyone. And Denny's here and he can putt fine. But
yeah, John Deere.
I mean, he's just his last 10 times out, he's positive in all 4 major SG categories. His form is good enough where he shouldn't be down where he is. He should be like 75, 80 to 1, 200 to 1 at Bet Online. I couldn't quite wrap my head around this when I started running my form stuff and I started looking at some of the big prices. Like when I said, here's form, here's price, did some comparisons, looked where there's value, and Denny was clearly at the top. He showed up high in the form model, but also in the splits I ran for tough courses. Like he can play well on some tough courses. He has played well. He's had a good year. It's just not someone we're excited to talk about. And yeah, it's just his putting. He's a putter. He's a great putter. Like Denny McCarthy is a very good putter. That's easy to say. He's going to play well on the bent grass. But seeing the past month of positive tee to green numbers, look what it says it right on the thing. Has Andy riding. I'm excited to bet him top 40. My trip to Iowa for ice cream might have to come a little sooner. Again, the most annoying thing about the offshore market, just can't get top 40 prices. Top 5, 10, 20. Because I do want to make my money back when he finishes like T33, and I'm happy with that. But
yeah,
I think that should be like -110 as well.
Yeah, that's a good price for sure. I like it quite a bit. I actually love to. You mentioned you're gonna have some props. I don't really get into first round leaders ever. I mean, they're fun sweat, but typically with the majors, we get first round finishing positions too. And sometimes there's wave advantages, and I think there might be here as well, especially with like, it looks like it's going to be really cold Thursday morning. So guys in the afternoon probably have an advantage, and you can, again, check out the site, get a subscription, get into our Discord. We're going to do office hours, basically, ask me anything situation with Andy, myself, Ron Kloss on Wednesday afternoon. We'll have more information. We'll have, a better feel for, is there, yes or no, a wave advantage in terms of early, late in the afternoon. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of different ways, and we'll probably have more, finished thoughts around how to get into the prop market, how to, approach the finishing position bets. This is more so outright bets, but yeah, good stuff as always, buddy. Remind everyone to subscribe, rate, review. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening in podcast form, we appreciate all those things. It's free content. Support the free content by doing those little things. Comment who you like to win outright. Thumbs up. Subscriptions, just $20. Lots of great content there. All the written stuff, all the tools, and again, the Discord, I think, as Andy made the case, I think is kind of the crown jewel and pays for itself pretty quickly just off of CLV.
Yeah, I mean, we already have a contest. I'm just going to start doing a contest every week where all those things you named, I'm going to make you do those, and that's just an entry. Like, hey, next week it'd be like we'll do something and we'll give away a free monthly sub or something like that. And if you have a free monthly sub, I don't know, like I'll send you a hat, or I don't know what we'll do, because that's about the same cost. So yeah, Ryan's wearing his hat. It's see-through, but we're already doing contests this week. I'll have something next week for Charles Schwab. The Charles Schwab kind of has a really good field.
Yeah,
I looked
for
at
sure.
that. For a week after, we're doing this twice in a row somehow, or the week after a major, it's like, oh my God, there's actually a really good field again. Because I was looking ahead for some one and done thoughts, and it's like, Jesus, there's a lot. I thought it's going to be like, oh man, I guess we're using Keith Mitchell next week, but there's a ton of really good names at the Charles Schwab. I'm pumped for that. We will run a contest, which is a good reminder to check the show notes. There's a link directly to the contest entry on Run Your Pool. It's free to enter. Pick your 6 golfers. 3 winners get a swag putter, which is worth like $550, $600, somewhere around there. So pretty good prize. Check that out. Like Noonan said, rate, review, subscribe. At least hit the thumbs up if you watch this on YouTube, and have a good week. Enjoy the golf and good luck.